I do apologize. I didn't realize I was muted. So there's a question regarding the letter.
Okay.
Someone is inquiring about how can they obtain a copy of the letter because they did not get one.
There is, if you didn't, because they are being mailed currently. They're being mailed manually, and they're also being emailed to the landlord or emails that we have on file for anyone. There is a link that said, see here, excuse me 1 second. There's a link, I think that says on there, that states in the annual letter that if you have not received a notification or if you did not receive your violation, there's an email link that you can tap on to, it will reach out to somebody in our department to get you that updated information. Currently, another process is that once the inspectors are calling out, they have the obligation to first call the client. If the client's not available, doesn't answer, or can't get us access to the unit, then the inspector will call the landlord. They'll call the landlord and figure that out. Once they speak with the landlord, and again, if there's no communication, they stated they didn't receive a letter, again, those will be counted as non-entries. You will get a second inspection date, which is again, normally two weeks prior from the original inspection date. But there's a link on there I'm trying to pull up for you guys now, and I'm apologize about that. This thing is still moving slow. But there's a link on there, inspect at DC, let me see, hold on.
And Ty, while you're pulling up that link, there's another question in the chat box. Someone is asking if it's possible to get an earlier inspection date.
Earlier from the scheduled date that we've sent out in the mail?
Yes.
And I mean, in all honesty, I'm not going to say no, but at the same time, there are a ton of annual inspections being scheduled and set up for folks right now. So you can send the email in. If it's the day of, then it's going to kind of be a little tough. But if you reach out to myself or Nikki Russell, or one of the supervisors prior to, at least if you get your letter and you know a couple of days in advance, 3 or 4 or 5 days in advance, then there's a possibility we might be able to reschedule you. But again, due to the large influx of these annuals, it's been kind of tough to reschedule and move folks around because majority of the folks are getting letters. And again, I'm not taking anything away from anyone who has not received them. We also noted in the news recently, there's been some mail issues. I'm not sure if anybody followed up on that, but they came out in the news like a day or two ago and said that the mail is jacked up. So some folks are getting letters later than they normally would be expected to. So we are trying to handle them on a case by case. We're trying to handle them on a case by case, but we are not able to just move every single inspection over based on basically not receiving it. Now, there's again, we have to talk about it. We're trying to handle them case by case, but we don't want to put anything out there that's going to have folks trying to call and reschedule every single appointment, because at the end of the day, rescheduled appointments still got to take up for another day of scheduled days units. So I hope that helps in that regard.
Okay, thank you for that, Ty. Do you have the link? If not, I'll go to the next question.
I do. I think I'm looking at it now, but I'm just not sure. This is okay. So again, it states on here, inspect the email link that we were talking about. If you had any requests or anything you needed to get by, it's I'll type it in. It's inspect, INSPECT at dchousing.org. Inspect, INSPECT at dchousing.org.
Inspect at dchousing.org.
Yes, ma'am.
Okay, I've placed it in the chat box for everybody.
Okay.
I'm going to the next question. There's a question about the lead assessment training. They're asking if it's on the DC government website.
I think, well, actually it should be on the owners portal if I'm correct. It's definitely on the owners portal. And I believe it should be in your annual letters that you receive, that there's a link that you click on. Let me see, the certification.
So while you're looking for that link, that is actually a HUD assessment.
Yes.
And so the letters that are generated, if you click on the link in the body of your email, it will take you straight to HUD's website to conduct that assessment. So I have a question pertaining to the lead assessment. After landlords complete this lead assessment, how long is that certificate good for? Is that a one-time deal? Do they have to do it every inspection? Like, what is the time frame? And so I know that it comes from HUD and DC Housing Authority has adopted it, but once that certification has been implemented, how long does it stay effective? Does it have to be renewed? Have you heard any guidance on that yet?
Nope, it does not have to be renewed. And say, for instance, if we're talking about a landlord or a agency that has multiple units throughout the city, if you have say, for instance, Carissa has a 40-unit building, and Carissa has 2 people as the POCs, the point of contact. You have a ton of units in your building, so of course you might have multiple folks that will be able to walk around and be able to assist on the inspections. So any one proxy, or if you have all 3 of your folks take the certification, it is good. I don't think there's an expiration on it as of right now. So say, for instance, if you have 3 different properties and you had 2 different proxies to take them, as long as one of those proxies that took that certification, it'll be good. Because once the inspector contacts them, all they're gonna have to do is show them on their phone the self-cert or the picture of them saying that, hey, this is John Doe. I took the cert and this is me. So you don't have to take it multiple times. Any landlord that takes it and has multiple properties and they're going to be the proxy, they can keep that cert, keep it in your phone somewhere, saved and locked in your phone on your pictures. You can continuously use that throughout. The same as with your maintenance techs, or if you have someone that is going to act on your behalf, that test certification will be good for any unit that you want to have for them.
Okay. Now, thank you for that, Ty. So my next question pertaining to the assessment certification, Ty, is this. On the day of inspection, let's say Marcy completed the assessment, but her proxy, for some reason, Marcy is not able to be present for the inspection. Her last minute proxy is able to go to the property, but has not completed the assessment. Can Marcy send in her assessment, or does that person that's going to be available have to take that test, that training?
That's a great question. No, the proxy, the person that will be present, has to be able to conduct the inspection. Again, if I could touch on it for a second, just the lead assessment and the annual inspections certification all came through HUD. We got approved through HUD. That's the reason, especially during the time of COVID, we were not able to gain access and go into the units due to that. So again, that self-cert, again, is something that protects us all. It protects the agency, and it also protects the landlords in regards to something, safety and health is going on inside that unit, that we already understood that what is the reason that we couldn't go in. So we did get HUD approval on both. So if the proxy landlord takes this cert but needs Kurt to go in and on my behalf, then Mr. Kurt Batson has to take that certification in order for it to be certified for that inspection. So any proxy or person above the age of 18 can be the proxy at the property. Again, like I stated before, we want to emphasize the fact of, again, hoping that landlords and tenants and our families can have good communication so that they can get this resolved. Especially for elderly or folks that aren't tech savvy, we're encouraging them. They're just for everyone. So FYI, there's going to be a video coming out shortly. So you got a sneak peek. I'm telling you now, you don't get to see it, but I'm letting you know that there's going to be a video coming soon that's going to be sent out. It's going to be on the owner's portal, and there's going to be a video directly like we did before about some of the inspections. It's definitely going to give everyone a hands-on experience on what to do to go through the process of each course link by link. So that is coming soon. I don't have a guaranteed date, but I do know that we are working on it, and it shouldn't be long. But there's going to be a tutorial on the owners portal. And I think there's going to be another link or access for folks to get on so that it can be a full understanding. So just bear with me today because I am having a few technical difficulties with my office desktop, but there's help on the way. One thing I can tell everyone is that we appreciate everyone's patience. We appreciate everybody's responses. We're responding to them accordingly. I know some folks, this is catching you off guard. But again, the pandemic has put us in a tough spot. And I just got to speak for the agency in a whole, as a whole. It's put us in a tough spot. So we're growing and learning and trying to fix these things and go accountable day by day. So things are getting better. And I hope that there could be some positive feedback, maybe from somebody later that does state that. But of course, it was one thing by getting folks introduced into the virtual process, let alone with initials and complaints. Now we're really getting into the belly of the beast where we have to take more time and be a little more active in this annual inspection process. So again, I just encourage everyone to please be patient. Of course, my number and email address is everywhere. I have no problem with anyone calling me, reaching out to me, even if it's by email that I can assist or have a staff member to assist. But I just can't say that this is a process that, again, it's just a little frustrating for some. But I guarantee you this will be something that will probably mark in history for something that's never happened ever prior to. And we're going to be successful in it. I promise you that. So again, I hope that says something, but we will get to the spot that we want to, and pray for there will be a return for normal life practices where, there's a possibility you could see an inspector within the next year. So we just got to keep praying and hoping that this new variant doesn't set us back months and months more, not just as the housing authority, but as a community.
That's great. Thank you for that, Ty. So Ty, what happens if the tenant does not allow the virtual inspection to occur on the inspection date and the landlord is not there?
Okay, so the tenant is not allowing them, they're not trying to cooperate. Is that what I'm hearing? The tenant's not cooperating.
Yes.
They're not having great communication with the landlord. So it seems like the inspection might not get taken care of. I don't know if I want to put myself out there to say, call me. I don't want to do that. But again, it's going to be one of those things of, Carissa, just to be honest with you, it's one of the things that I know everybody's not hip to it, but I call it finesse. We have to work together to find a way to try to get our customers online. And again, it's not going to be easy, but I have to finesse. And when I say finesse, it's not nothing, exotic anything. But again, when I say finesse, is that you have to be able to talk with folks. You have to try to work with them to listen and talk to the same way of the language that they're speaking. So you can gotta get access. We need access. And again, I wish that it was a perfect world where landlords and tenants were like this. And Carissa, you can come over and do my inspection anytime you want. I enjoy, hopefully that we have a few landlords on here that actually have that, but everybody doesn't. So just to make an answer to that question, if the tenant's not being cooperative, then definitely somebody needs to send that email in, send the email over. Lisa, we're having on a notation. We do have a department that eventually, once there's 2 no entries, of course, we're going to recommend no entry, final fail. Then there's also that link that you'll see where you can contest or if you want to challenge anything that's going on. But on no entry, final fails, they do address the tenants first. So if a tenant is not allowing access to the unit, then that will be figured out during the course of the investigation or what we need to imply. But if they're not being cooperative, I would say document. Document everything, document the encounter. If you spoke with them on the 13th and the inspection's on the 17th, just have your own personal records. So in case when things need to be reviewed, you say, hey, Mr. Gary, we tried to get on the 13th so we can get there on the 17th. She said no. We went to the property on the 17th. She didn't let us in. Of course, that's more than likely going to be a non-entry. But the second attempt, of course, they'll get a second letter. And we'll be able to sometimes, what we're doing currently is reaching out to a few folks that are having issues in response. But again, ladies and gentlemen, I can't get them in either. I can't get you in either. So even if I talk all nice and a few of them like me from back in the day when I used to come out in the field, hey, Mr. Gary, I remember you. Are you so great? Can you let the people in? Nah, we're not doing that. So it's not going to be that easy. But if just document everything that's going on, because again, that we'll be able to sort through or decipher who was at fault or who was at blame for us not to gain entry. But again, only thing I can tell you is that just try your hardest. And again, if you can't do nothing, you can't do anything. Because like I said, I can't make them let you in, and it will be in the same box if we were doing in persons. They won't let you in. They won't let me in. They won't let the inspectors in. We ran into that multiple times. And what happens if they don't allow us in? We got to take the corrective measures and actions so that they will respond in the way that they would have hopefully wished they had gone ahead and responded properly to getting us access to that unit.
And that's a great point, because I think that sometimes landlords, they get really concerned when tenants are not cooperating. And unfortunately, it's not a cohesiveness with all landlords and tenants. And so if, like you said, Ty, if tenants are refusing to allow landlords to enter, the housing authority can't make tenants do the right thing. And unfortunately, even at this time, worst case scenario, if you had, as a landlord, if you had to take your tenant to court, the courts are not even open at this time for that to happen.
Exactly.
So, it's really frustrating for a lot of you, including myself. But at this time, the agency, the DC Housing Authority, they're doing the best they can with trying to make sure that they're servicing their tenants, that the tenants are doing what they're supposed to. But at the end of the day, they're not going to physically go to the home to say, Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, you must let your landlord in to do the inspection. So if you have a tenant that you don't have the closest relationship with, they're not cooperating for whatever reason, as Ty just stated, document it, notate it, so that at the appropriate time you can take actions. And so just do your best to try to work with the tenants. Maybe if you can get a proxy to soften the blow. I know that I've helped several of you that are on here today with some of your what I like to call tenants from hell. So Ty, let's go to a few more questions, because we will wrap up on or before 7 p.m. So there's a question about the timeline once the package is submitted for the RTA process. So once a landlord submits the request for tenancy approval on the portal, on average, Ty, do you know approximately how long it takes for them to get an inspection once that paperwork has been submitted?
Okay, so once the packages are submitted and RTAs are sent in, again, they'll be able to go through the owner's portal to track it. The inspections division does not see the created unit or the request for the inspection until it has gone through the process of being reviewed. So again, I want to say that it's 2 to 5 days for a package to be submitted. How long is it, Kurt, for when they submit the package? I can tell them when we get to inspection.
When they submit it. If it's submitted before the 5th of the month, it's going to be reviewed.
Okay, so Kurt was just telling me that if it's reviewed, the package is reviewed before submitted before the 5th of the month, then it will be sent through the portal within 5 days.
5 days. If there's something needed, notes are going to be in the system.
Okay, so
on the portal.
Okay.
They have to review the portal. Nobody's going to call them to let them.
Okay.
So they have to stay on their portal and check every day.
Great point. So again, Mr. Basson just stated again that if it's sent in before the 5th of the month, it's submitted before the 5th of the month, within 5 days, the package is reviewed. If anything is not submitted, or paperwork is missing, or a signature or a document is missing, then the message we're sending is to all the owners to stay on the portal, because it would identify you to let you know what paperwork or what has not been submitted for this process to proceed. Once the package has been reviewed, inspections division, we receive it. It takes us like 2 days to go ahead and schedule and coordinate. So when in the process of that scheduling, we're sending out the emails, we're sending out the links. And again, this is only in regards to initial inspections I'm thinking of, correct? Correct. Okay, I just want to make sure we're on the same, because the annuals are a little different. The annuals are mailed and they also hand delivered as well. So in regards to the initials, I guess again, if it's submitted by the 5th of each month, then it takes about 5 days to review. And again, we're encouraging the landlords to stay on the portal. Of course, we got folks that are calling and emailing, and then it's really a simple fix of, hey, did you check the portal? And then they'll say, oh, no, I didn't check it. That's the easy fix. Stay on top of the portals, ladies and gentlemen. The owner's portal is your friend. I know everybody hasn't been 100% happy with it, but for the most part, it's very informative. And like, again, once we send out these new blasts and these new notifications, they're going to be on the owner's portal. So please don't think that the owner's portal won't change on information and stuff that needs to be reviewed. So again, just make sure you're checking your portals like every, once a week, just to make sure that nothing else has changed. Because if you look at the portal like you do, like something that comes to you every day, you won't look at anything new. And there could be some new information that will be provided, or a new link up top, or a new subject title up top that can help you along with the learning process.
Okay, great. Thank you for that. So Ty, can you explain what happens if the landlord receives notification, but the tenant doesn't, and the tenant is not available or ready for the inspection?
Again, it's going to come down to, and that could happen, like vice versa. The tenant could get it and the landlord doesn't know. Again, we are going to try to talk our way to get us into those units, ladies and gentlemen. Again, if you have a good relationship, and I'm finding this out by way of getting calls from the inspectors. I get calls from clients as well. Sometimes it's about the communication. All you got to do is communicate, and they're willing to get these units done, because I ran into situations where landlords and or tenants said they didn't get a letter, but they were willing to go because they got a phone call from an inspector. All right, well, I didn't know today, Mr. Gary, but guess what? I'm going to call Ms. Johnson and see if I can get over there, and let's see if we can get this done. It's going to take a little more effort from everyone. And again, I'm not taking away from nobody, but it's going to take some effort. It's not as easy as just saying, hey, you're going to be available for the inspection. No. If we went in person, again, ladies and gentlemen, the same things apply. If we went in person and the tenant didn't get the letter and the landlord did, if the landlord shows up to the property and the tenant doesn't want to allow us in as the inspector and landlord, guess where us are going to be? Outside talking about we didn't get in. So it goes still back to the fact we can't force our way in, and folks are going to deny it. They're going to say that they didn't get a letter. It happens when we're doing in person. You get there, they say they don't get a letter. Well, it's not up to us to challenge whether they got it or not, but it's up to us to say, can we do the inspection? Yes or no? If not, fine. We'll leave this door knocker here. This is when we're in person. Leave a door knocker. We'll be back in 14 days. That's your notification outside of a letter coming to you. Hey, we came by. You don't want to do it because their tenants do refuse. Tenants will have a situation where the family member is somebody sick, or they don't want somebody in, or whatever reason it could be. We run into that all the time. So again, I don't want folks to get discouraged about the virtual inspection process, because in all honesty, the virtual process is still very similar to the in-person. Gaining access, it's the same thing. I'm not trying to be repetitive, but it's the same thing. If we go to that door and you meeting with Mr. Gary at the unit, yes, Miss Carissa is meeting me at the unit, but we get to the unit and Ms. Edwards doesn't want to let us in. All I can do as an inspector and as a representative from the housing authority is say, you have an obligation to let us into the unit. So here's your new letter. We'll be back in 2 weeks. You can't say that you didn't know we wasn't coming back in 2 weeks, because I verbally, spoke with you in regards to that. So that's kind of where we are. So if folks don't let you in, again, documentation is going to be crucial. If you document and have everything, your ducks in a row, that way when we investigate, we're not coming out to jack landlords up or slap you on the wrist or anything. This is a joint responsibility. You both are our customers, the tenants and the landlords. You are our customer. So we're not trying to put anybody in no difficult situation, but at the same time, again, we are trying to grow as an agency, as a department, through this whole COVID-19 pandemic that we're going through. So everything's not going to be perfect, but guess what? Time heals all, and communication is key.
That's so true. Thank you for that, Ty. So there's a question about, it looks to be regarding an extension, a request for an extension. So the landlord received an inspection letter the Friday prior to the 4th of July with an inspection date of July the 7th, which did not allow time for the landlord to prepare. So the landlord, as well as the tenant, has contacted the housing specialist, and they were told that they would receive a new inspection date by way of mail, but they have not done that. Who should they contact, Ty?
Let me make sure I understood. You said that they had an inspection date for the 7th. correct?
Yes,
And it didn't take place on the 7th.
it did not, that date did not allow. So what happens if landlords get a letter, they don't have enough time to prepare and they ask for an extension? So two-part question here. The first is, who should they contact? And then the second question would be, how much time or when can a landlord ask for an extension?
Okay. So if an inspection doesn't take place, then the word extension is going to be kind of like taken out of the loop. You only get an extension or can request an extension once your unit fails HQS. So basically, if you're asking for an extension of missing an inspection, that's a different story. Remember, again, like we stated, 14 days from the original date of the missed inspection. Again, we're taking them on case by case, but we can't move everybody's inspection away from the date that is originally set. So if we're taking them on case by case, feel free to email myself if you're having these type of issues. Don't, again, folks, don't think that I'm going to make sure that I'm gonna have make sure it happens that day. But we are trying to handle it case by case. So again, we're going to try to address any concerns you have. And if there's some way we can reschedule or move you, then feel free. Again, my email address, Carissa, you can put that back out there. Nikki Russell and Russell at DC Housing, both are myself are the supervisors. So we will take them on case by case if folks need to try to reschedule. But I just want to keep in mind that, again, we are up against a little bit of time. So feel free to reach out. Again, all we can do is if your month coincides with the annual anniversary date, and as long as it doesn't exceed that 365, we might be able to reschedule your appointment. Back to the extensions. If your unit has failed annual inspection and you need additional time to make corrections, on that letter, there is something stated down at the bottom where you can resort to request an extension. But let me just throw this out there. We are reviewing extension requests, again, case by case. I had one, just to be honest, to throw it out there, I had one that the landlord called me 2 days ago and stated that a tenant, my apologies, the tenant called and it went far. And the tenant was saying, hey, I had a reinspection of last week. It didn't take place. And they were upset. So upon investigation, looked through the notes, looked through everything, found out the landlord did request an extension. And they got the extension. Here's the kicker. The landlord requested the extension, got the extension, still hasn't done anything in the tenant's unit, but still requesting an extension. So after the investigation, I had to go back into detail, look at some of the severity of the issues, and I had to tell this landlord that you basically were granted 28 days extension, but now you're down to a 1 week extension because nothing was addressed. So you getting an extension just to request an extension, that's a problem. So with that being said, if you have safety and health issues, ladies and gentlemen, you do want to address those. Even if you're requesting an extension, address the safety and health issues first. That way that there's no outside calling, nobody else looking to say, why am I still dealing or living in this situation? And then we tell the tenant that the landlord got an extension. And then the landlord, nobody has done anything in the unit. So getting an extension, so that means you had 28 days to make some corrections. Nothing happened in 28 days. Look at it from the tenant's perspective. So just asking for an extension, all of them are not going to be granted, and they are being handled again case by case. Because again, this is one of those things that blew up in front of us. They asked us for an extension, they got it. The tenant didn't know. The tenant is still living in a condition that is not conducive because they still having leaks coming into their household. So an extension can be granted, but there's a letter on that link. On that annual letter, it states in there, you should request your extensions at least 10, 14 days prior to your reinspection date. Again, getting an extension does not mean that things don't need to be addressed. If there's some issues, you got your violation notice, my advice, go speak with the clients. Go let them know that, hey, we're going to address this. Hey, if this ceiling is coming down, address the ceiling. Even if the toilet leaking is a small problem, that's something that won't be considered safety and health, that wouldn't raise red flags for us to get 100 calls and 100 emails. Address all urgent situations Again, I think I heard of somebody asking about the annual inspection process prior to. If you're not able to get into your units prior to the annual inspection date, again, that comes with coordinate with your client. You need to get into, you should be able to get into your properties, whether housing sends you a letter or not. Of course, in a perfect world, it doesn't work like that, but you should be able to get into your property if you give them 24 hours notice. So, yeah, in regards to extension, you requesting an extension on an inspection that has not been conducted, that won't happen, because the only way an extension can be granted is if a unit fails HQS.
Okay, thank you for that, Ty. Do me a favor, check the chat box. Go up to Deidre's iPad for the questions in the chat box. I want to add this when it comes to requesting an extension as a housing provider, and this is what I tell landlords and housing providers to do. Don't wait until you get a letter from the agency saying that they're coming out to inspect the property for the annual inspection or complaint inspection. You should be proactively going out to conduct an inspection. Landlords are not exempt from making sure that the rental property is decent, safe, and sanitary. And I get it. Some of you don't want to go into your rental property because of COVID, because of the pandemic. I get it. But you are not exempt from making sure that repairs are completed. So the best way to avoid a headache or to complain that you requested an extension, you didn't get it, you wasn't prepared. Go well in advance. Try to do inspections at least every 3 months. Do an inspection quarterly. This is what I tell landlords and my clients. Don't wait for the agency to come out to do the inspection. In order for you to understand what's going on, you get in, and if you can't get in, have someone else to go in who is knowledgeable. Let me just state that. Have someone who is knowledgeable, who understands inspections, who know how to conduct inspections to inspect your rental property. So that way, if the agency doesn't give you an extension, you've already gone in, you already know what repairs are needed, and you already completed well in advance. Because again, I'm trying to prevent or avoid something happening, your payment being stopped because you didn't get in to make the repairs, or the tenant didn't allow you to make the repairs at the last minute. The agency don't really have the capacity to jump through the hoops to accommodate everybody. There are over 4,000 landlords participating in this program. And so obviously they're trying to accommodate as many people as possible, but let's be honest. I mean, some of the workers are still working from home, and the inspectors are trying to do what they can, but they can't accommodate 4,000 landlords with, last minute requests for an extension. So let's get back to the chat box for some more comments, Ty.
Hey, Carissa, and great point. But I looked at it, so about quarantine, again, ladies and gentlemen, if your client is in some kind of quarantine or some kind of protocol or something that is dealing with the COVID, not the COVID, my apologies, dealing with COVID, you definitely want to reach out. Again, we don't want anybody in harm's way, landlords or tenants. So again, they're case by case. If your client, you are running into experience with the household or somewhere and is not able to get this inspection done, or something's going on due to COVID or some quarantine, you definitely need to reach out. Again, there are some considerations on rescheduling inspections, but at the same time, some folks are just trying to reschedule because they have not been at a property in over months. And we're not trying to single anyone out, but we can't put it out there to everyone to say that, hey, everybody can just reschedule as you accordingly. We're reviewing them case by case. If you have a client that is definitely going through some protocol or has doctor's notification, please take all that and send it over to us or give us a call so we can make sure that we can make appropriation to reschedule for everyone's safety and health. That is a great question. I didn't see it, but some of the chat were going past me pretty fast. So you did tell me to look at Miss Deidre's iPad. So again, in regards to quarantine, if your family, you dealing with families that are subject for you not be able to get in, then that's when, again, we're probably more lenient to rescheduling inspections if there's some kind of something in place that are preventing you guys from getting it in.
Okay, there are questions pertaining to the proxy. How far in advance should they submit notification if there's going to be a proxy?
Okay, if you're going to be the proxy, my suggestion, again, like you said earlier, don't wait till the last minute. If you have got the links, you got everything that you need, and I'm Ty Gary, and I got my letter today and my inspections next Friday. As soon as you get that link, you're the proxy, you're going to be the person present, get it. Take the certification. You'll have the thing. It'll come to your phone on the email. It'll be saved there, or you can save it as a picture or something to that degree. That will never leave. As long as you have that picture or that certification saying that Ty Gary is the proxy, that's all you need. Do it before the day of the inspection. And the reason why I say do it ahead of the inspection is because if it's already done and you've already communicated with your client, hey, Carissa, I'm coming over there. I'm coming to do your inspection. I know I'm gonna be the proxy. I'm gonna help you get through this. Once that you figured out it's okay, you don't want to wait till the day of. Then you got an inspector call you and ask, hey, did you do the thing? No, I didn't take the course yet. I didn't know. I mean, if you don't know, you don't know. But if you are savvy enough to get through this electronic process with the links, do them as soon as you get them. Have your maintenance crew, your personnel, your staff, your clerical, whoever's going to be the person to go see that inspector, let them take it. It does not expire. Not that I know of. It doesn't expire, but have it done as soon as possible, because that's some of the things that are slowing up the processes of the inspections now. The inspectors are not only trying to conduct the inspections, but they're counseling folks on how to get these done. So if the more knowledgeable, the more things that can be prepared and already linked up before the inspection, even if it's the tenant. If you got your letter as a landlord, you got it this week, and you don't wait till next week to find out if your tenant didn't get the letter. Again, your communication with that client will help save the day. Calling Carissa. Hey, Carissa, I got a letter. I don't know if you know they got an inspection coming up next week. Oh, I didn't get mine. Okay, well, look, I'm gonna forward you mine real quick, and then let's work it out how we can make this happen next week. You want to be proactive in this type of thing. Again, like I said, of course it's easy to jump on housing and say all the bad and what's good and what's not. But again, we got to be proactive, because, ladies and gentlemen, we are all going through this together. This is something new for the whole world. And in all actuality, not trying to pat ourselves on the back too much, but no other housing authority is doing what we're doing currently. No other housing authority. You can pull it up. You can Google it. We are the pioneers of this whole thing. Nobody's done or doing thousands of inspections currently like we are. And again, I'm not trying to brag, but I just want to be honest. No other housing authority is doing it.
Ty, go ahead and brag. Listen, Jared has a question about network connections. So if there's no connectivity on the date of an initial inspection, they cannot do the virtual inspection. What happens in this case, Ty?
All right. We do run into those. And again, ladies and gentlemen, there are definitely quadrants of the city, parts of the city that just will not allow even a phone call. So yes, we are aware that the some connections, some areas of the city do not have poor reception, to the point, like I said, even to a phone call. You can't make a phone call in some places. So let alone if that network problem is a problem, then it's going to be hard to record a video or do anything of that nature. We're moving forward. What we've been talking to our inspectors on is, again, we want to emphasize that we want to try to get everything we can done virtually. I mean, together, because like an inspection in person, it's only a snapshot in time. So if something's happening at that unit, we actually need to be able to verify and see that it's actually going on that unit. And that's also stating that there could be nothing going on in the unit, but we have to see that there's nothing going on in the unit. So again, in most cases, what's happening now, landlords or proxies are going through the process of going through the virtual inspection, and it's either cutting off, you can't hear each other, you can't see what you're showing them. We are trying to work together with our IT department to try to figure out if there's any streamlining, some stuff that we can do for certain necks of the woods or certain areas that do have those bad receptions. But currently what you'll do is, just really quick, we're telling the inspectors that we don't want to just receive pictures from folks. Again, if you have 40 or 100 units, Carissa, not saying that you would do this, but if we can't see actual real time or something that gives us the detail to say, hey, this is Carissa, it's 659, I'm walking into 1433 12th Street. Stuff like that is going to be important and for us to be able to complete the inspection. So it has to be like as much as in time as possible. We're not encouraging folks to do pictures, because if you got 100 units, they all have 50 of them look like the other 50, then a picture of what you sent me from unit 210 could be totally different from 213. So if if you want to be proactive, and most of the inspectors, they'll tell you, you'll have to be time specific. So if you can't work the reception out between duo, my only suggestion to my team is that the landlord has to be hands-on. They have to really create a video of themselves. Now, I think you should be able to do a video as opposed to connecting with myself. So if you conduct a video, ladies and gentlemen, then your video needs to state exactly where you're in front of. You need to state today is July 21st at 6:59. I'm walking into 1433, and even if you have to separate it in multiple videos, you still need to just make sure that when you come back to your video, it's 7:43. Continuing the video is something that we need to, just for our records, to know that we are a complete flow of the unit, and you're not just showing me a picture of 210 and I'm supposed to be in 213, if that makes any sense. So my suggestion would be, if your interruption, your connectivity is messed up, the inspector will guide you through it. We don't want everyone to start trying to send pictures, because again, if that's a crutch that folks can fall on, then that's one that everybody will get hold to, and then we won't be able to do quality inspections. And let's not forget, ladies and gentlemen, prior to doing this inspection, you as a landlord are obligated to provide safe, decent, and sanitary homes. So if folks are, and again, nobody on this call, hopefully you're not, but if landlords or folks are setting up units where they're trying to get past something or sneak past something or don't allow the inspector to see something, it's not all just on the inspector, because you're still signing a self-cert. You follow me? You're still signing a self-certification because you're still saying, hey, I'm the owner, ain't nothing going on here. So you'll be liable at the same time. So I don't want anybody to think that their housing is going to be getting jammed up if something doesn't take place or doesn't happen right. You as a landlord are right there, probably in front of the housing authority, because they're going to come see the landlord and then they might come see housing authority. So let's all remember that we have to make sure that it's not trickery for an inspector just to get past. It's really about putting our clients in safe, decent homes.
Okay, so Ty, we're at 7:03. We can cut off whenever you like. I'm willing to answer more questions, but we have at least 19 more in the chat box. And I did promise that we will be an hour. I want to respect your time. So if you cannot stay, I definitely
we
understand
we can go for a few more. I'm definitely going to, we already knew this was going to happen. But I'm here for you. We can go for a little longer, see what's going on. Because I just want to make sure, again, if anybody, did you put my email? I did see someone asking for my email. So Carissa, you want to put that out there for me?
Yep.
Please.
All right, I'll put it in the chat box.
Okay.
Ty, as a matter of fact, I'm gonna answer this question. Can you put your email address in the chat box, Ty, for me, please?
Gotcha.
So Tanya, you have a question pertaining to the letter for inspection. Ty already answered that. This tenant refused to allow you to inspect the property in April and May, then called to file a complaint. Tanya, your question is, can you file an eviction notice since you're on month to month? Well, right now, Tanya, unfortunately, you cannot file any cases in court. No cases are currently being heard due to the eviction moratorium. But in the District of Columbia, once your initial lease term is up, so after the first 12 months is up, it automatically goes month to month. You can take your tenant to court for violation of the lease, but hopefully you are documenting the process, because it's not what you know, is what you can prove. So if you have a tenant that's refusing to allow you to enter, here's what I would do. I would say, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, first of all, I'm going to send a letter letting them know at least 48 hours in advance, because that's the District of Columbia's law. It used to be 24 hours. It's now 48 hours in DC.
Okay.
So you send your tenant a letter 48 hours in advance saying, hey, Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, we're coming to conduct the inspection. On that day, if the tenant refuses, you take a picture, you take a video showing that you're at the property, make sure the address is visible. If it's a house, if it's a condo, if it's an apartment, make sure the address is identifiable in that picture. You document it, you follow up with the letter, another letter to the tenant. Hey, Mr. and Mrs. Tenant, we were at the property on July 21st at 7 p.m. Unfortunately, we missed you. We were not able to conduct the inspection. We have rescheduled the inspection for X date, okay? And on that day, you go out. So you just want to document your attempts. And if the tenant is still not cooperating or participating, then when the courts are allowing cases to be heard, then by all means, you will have to take that tenant to court. So that's a great question. V, I see your question in the chat box. You said you have an inspection for August the 19th from 9 to 5. Will the inspector contact me in a timely fashion to let me know the start of the virtual inspection? And then your second question is this: can I contact the inspector or Section 8 at 8 a.m. the day of the inspection to get information whether the inspection will happen at the exact time? Those are great questions. So yes, you can definitely contact the agency to find out who the inspector is. So when I know who the inspector is, I'm going to reach out to say, hey, Inspector Ty, Inspector Gary, I'm V, I'm Carissa. We have an inspection scheduled for July 21st. What time would be best to conduct the inspection? So I'm going to try to do it the day before, but definitely first thing in the morning to try to coordinate the best time. Because if you can contact the inspector early enough, you can sometimes get the time slot that's best for you as well as the inspector. So they're usually flexible depending on how many people they have on their calendar.
Correct. And again, you can reach out, but the volume of inspections have increased tremendously. Again, when we were just doing initials, it's increased tremendously. So again, we still put out to the inspectors to try to call everyone, to reach out to everyone by 10 a.m. If that process has slowed down a little bit, again, I spoke with my staff this morning. Again, we are running into some times where, again, they have to call more than 5 or 6 people. They have to call 10 people, 12 people. So with that being said, there's a pushback on as well as far as the inspector calling, can't get a response, doesn't get a response from the landlord or tenant until 2 o'clock, but they called them at 9. We're running into those situations as well. Folks are calling. Again, the process is they're supposed to try to call and reach everybody by 10 a.m. Of course, but they have a few more inspections, so maybe you probably need to give them a little more time nowadays. 535-1000 is the call center. That is on the letter as well, but let me make sure it's on here. 202-535-1000 is the call center. And the call center is aware, once that landlord or tenant calls, they can say, hey, I'm Joe Johnson from, I have a property at 4301 Georgia. I want to know who my inspector is, and can I get in contact with them? They'll more than likely provide you with the email address for that inspector, because again, we're not trying to push out too many phone calls, because the only way that they can get the work done is by using some of their devices. So we don't prefer a lot of phone calls, but if the call center will provide you with the email address, maybe receive an email from you, take your information down, forward that information to the inspector, and then say, hey, Mr. Johnson's been waiting. He wants to know when his inspection is. Again, I don't want to overbear my plate, but ladies and gentlemen, it's already overbeared. Call me. I will assist you if I can. My number is all over this city. And again, I don't have a problem with it. I don't have the issues that the inspectors are having, because they have to do the videos, conduct the inspections, try to return calls, try to call people. They are under a whole lot. I'm available for you. If I can help you get in contact with that inspector, they already doing it now. Don't hesitate to email me. My email's in the chat. Don't hesitate to email me. I'm in here 3 or 4 days a week now. The staff is not back in, but the managers and supervisors are back. So don't feel free to reach out to me. Let me know if you're having something going on. If you can't get a hold of somebody, if you haven't heard from somebody by 11 or 12 o'clock, if you don't want to call the call center, the urgency is to call the call center. I know I'm putting myself out there by letting you say call me, but again, this is what I do, and I'm gonna try to help every single person that we can. But again, the goal is to try to hit the call center. If you already have my number, call me. If you send me an email, I'm going to call you back. And I'm going to direct you and put you in the right direction so you can get these inspections taken care of. So again, ladies and gentlemen, it's about communication and working together. Because again, this is a process that's pretty much new for everyone. All right, let me put my number on here. Here you go. This is where I get jacked up right here now, Carissa. Here we go. All right. And look, hold on. Is this going on YouTube?
Yeah, so just put it in the chat box.
Put it on here.
YouTube.
Chat box. They can have it. They can have
put it in the
Go
chat
ahead.
box.
Is this on YouTube?
Yeah. So I'm going to, is this Gil Smith? Okay, does DC Housing allow DCRA inspections of the property to be used for the DC Housing inspection purposes?
Say that one more time, Chris. I missed one word.
So they're asking if DCRA inspections, if DC Housing Authority will allow DCRA inspections to suffice for the HQS inspection.
No, well, not currently. No, that was a process that was happening. I think that was over a year ago when there was some kind of program or something that was going on. That was a small time frame. So no, if DCRA has been flagged to your building, that's not necessarily a good thing. Because again, DCRA, if they get noticed or get cited something to your property, which means they're gonna come out, when they hit you, they're gonna hit you with a fine. DCA Housing Authority, we don't have fines and stuff like that set in place. DCRA doesn't necessarily always supersede DCHA regulations and rules, but we do adhere and comply with some of them. So again, if they do a shutdown notice or a notice of deemed uninhabitable, something like that, we will go with a lot of those. But if DCRA got a hold of you before DC Housing, then again, you're probably going to be jumping on it probably a little more faster than you would if the housing authority unfortunately contacted you. Because once we get involved, see, we do deal with DCRA. We are semi-partners, but we are not the same. Our regulations are not the same. Again, they are under the district. We do follow DCMR Title 14, but we also, again, are under HUD, DC HUD regulation HQS. So certain things might supersede when it comes to the DC laws. But other than that, DC housing inspection, if our inspections, again, we won't fine you. If your property is not in compliance, yes, we will take the HAP payment back and the rent payment back. But if DCRA gets involved, then that means you potentially going to be set up for some fines and really hit your pocket and put liens on your properties, all of that type of stuff.
Thank you for answering that. Robin, she has a question. So it looks like the request for the new date, not an inspection. So Robin submitted a request for a new date. She hasn't been contacted yet. So she's assuming that it's going to be rescheduled because she asked for it to be rescheduled. Who should she contact, Ty?
She requested, say that again, Carissa. She requested what happened?
So she received notification that the inspection was going to take place, and I'm assuming probably around the time where President Biden declared Juneteenth a holiday. So all those inspections that were scheduled didn't take place. So that may be the date. So she's assuming that it's going to be rescheduled, and it obviously hasn't been scheduled yet.
Please reach out to me. Reach out to me. Again, I'm putting myself out there, but I wouldn't put myself out there if I wasn't able to back up everything that I'm saying. And again, in regards to assisting our customers. So something like that, feel free. My email is on there. My cell phone's on there. Don't put it out. Don't pass it all over the world, but feel free to holler at me. Give me a call if I can help you out, especially when it comes down to those type of situations. We can work that out.
So Ty, with regard to the self-certification process, can you explain? I know that you touched on it a little earlier, but landlords really want to know what is self-certification? What are they certifying? Because they're not licensed contractors, so when they complete that self-certification form, what exactly are they saying?
Okay, so I'm looking at the actual self-certification letter as we speak. Let's see here. I'm just trying to read through this to make sure if I want to get to the vital points that we can explain it to them again. So, all right, so it says in accordance with the authority provided under the Coronavirus Aid, Relief and Economic Security Act, Public Laws, Department of Housing and Urban Development, HUD, is waiving and establishing alternative requirements for various statutory and regulatory requirements for the Housing Choice Voucher Program. These waivers provide administrative flexibilities and relief in response to the National Public Health Emergency. The District of Columbia Housing Authority, HCV program, is utilizing Notice PIH 2020-05. waivers, and alternate requirements as necessary to maintain its continuity of operation to the maximum extent practicable. To that end, in lieu of ACVP inspections department conducting an initial inspection or annual inspection, waivers will allow landlords to self-certify that there are no life-threatening deficiencies in the unit unless otherwise authorized by HUD. Any with self-certification will be inspected by ACV department within 1 year of the self-certification. So what that means is that as a landlord, like I stated earlier, if you are going to fill out this self-certification form, you're stating that I, Ty Gary, am the landlord for 1133 North Capitol. There are no, and it has it here, name of the certifier, title of the certifier, address, where your name should be, hereby certify that there are no life-threatening deficiencies within the exterior, interior, common areas, if applicable, inside of this unit address. I understand that the ACV program inspection department will conduct an inspection within 1 year of the owner's self-certification, validating that the unit listed above meets HQS acceptability criteria. I also understand that if the above listed unit is found to have HQS deficiencies, I will be required to make repairs in accordance to the ACV program administrative plan. So again, that has an area for you to sign who you are. I am the landlord. This is my property. I'm signing off saying that there are no life-threatening issues in my unit currently. That gives you basically a relief to conducting an annual inspection. But again, it does, you need to make sure you're reading it properly, because it does state that you are understanding, you're telling the housing authority, you're telling everybody that can see this document that there's no life-threatening, no safety or health issues in there. It also states that we will come back and revisit your unit within 1 year of you signing this self-cert. So basically, it's also one of those ways of, again, if you feel as though that your unit has been in compliance, you and your tenant are on good terms, everything's well, there's nothing in there that could be harmful, that we won't get a complaint or something coming up, this is a self-certification saying that, hey, we don't need an annual inspection. We will review your unit within 1 year of you signing this self-cert. But the self-cert basically gives you an obligation to not conduct an annual if you feel as though your house is in safe, decent, and sanitary conditions.
Okay, so let me go to a couple of more questions in the chat box. I'm going to Taishwan. Please forgive me if I didn't pronounce your name correctly. They have squatters occupying one of the apartments. They are causing infestation of mice, roaches, rats. They've changed the locks on the door. They cannot access the apartment to treat the building. What can they do? At this point, unfortunately, the best thing that you could do is get yourself a good landlord and tenant attorney who could assist you with squatters. I'm not sure if cases are being heard in a court system just yet for squatters, but definitely speak with an attorney on what you can do to resolve this squatter issue. That's something that the DC Housing Authority don't have authority to assist you with. So I do apologize about that, but definitely speak with the landlord and tenant attorney. I can give you a few options if you're interested. Please make sure that you email me, carissa@dchpa.org. I will send you a list of reputable landlord and tenant attorneys if the property is in Washington, DC.
Yep, and again, for squatters, again, if it's not leased up or assigned to the housing authority voucher program, we wouldn't be able to do anything about a vacant unit that's not tied in. We only would be able to assist on an occupied unit that is leased up to a client in the HVCP program. So we wouldn't be able to do anything about a squatter, especially because, again, a squatter means that they took over some vacant property. So we wouldn't be able to address anything vacant that's not leased up in our program.
Okay, thank you for that, Ty. Looks like we've gone through most, if not all of the questions. Please check the chat box. Ty has placed his email address and telephone number in the chat box. You will get an email with this information. I just want to make sure that we've answered Michelle's question because she said that she was a little confused about the owner, the proxy process. So Michelle, have we answered the question that you have pertaining to the proxy? If you're still on. Michelle Washington, can you unmute yourself?
Hi, yeah, I believe so. I think when Ty explained a little bit about the inspection and the self-certifying, it's just a little bit confusing in terms of, okay, you self-certify by filling out the information stating that there's no life-threatening items in the apartment, and that you are subject to inspection within that year. If you do decide to go ahead and move forward with the inspection, you're saying that the landlord can, have a proxy, or that, landlord proxy, same thing, can conduct the inspection by actually videotaping, putting time stamping everything in the video, sending that information on over. It was a little confusing in terms of the chronological order of how things are going. And I think I'm a little bit clear, but maybe I just need to reread the paperwork a little bit. I don't know if other people on the line are following this like I am, but.
And that's correct. 2 points. One is that, again, yes, you when you review the letters or those appointments, again, it's important for everyone to read. And I'm joking and laughing, but again, we also know that, again, in this world, folks can get a letter and don't read the entirety or don't read the smaller print when it comes to documents. So again, I would definitely, like what you stated, Michelle, thank you. Yes, please read those documents, do a little bit more further investigation. But when it comes down to the self-cert, again, that was based upon an annual inspection, and it was about that. So if you did set that up for annual inspection, then the proxy should actually definitely be there.
And not to cut you off, Ty, I think for me, it's confusing because I have two different things. I had the annual, which I received some notification about that. And then I actually got an inspection. So I think you're talking about two different things.
Okay.
Where I thought when I was reading everything, it just looked like everything was combined. So I had an inspection that was very impromptu to me, was like a week's notice, but you've explained that. Then, unfortunately, I wasn't prepared, so I failed it. And then I had some also issues with gaining access, which you guys addressed. So I had to get an extension because of the tenant and gaining access. So all of this stuff applies to me. But what I was a little confused about is that while all of that was happening, I got this package not knowing it's for the annual, and that this there's two separate things going on. So
correct.
It's a little bit clearer now that I've actually been able to kind of vocalize and talk to you. So there's one thing that you'll get for the annual inspection, which I had that, and that is separate from this other inspection. I think it's called the HQL or something like that. Okay, so
correct.
That's the confusing part. All right, so that makes sense.
Okay.
So annual inspection is one thing, and then there's a HQL inspection, that's another thing.
HQS, there's your initial inspection. Is an initial inspection that, again, initial means vacant. So we got initial inspections that are deemed that are vacant units. So we call those initials. And then again, you have annuals and you have complaint inspections. So if an owner has put in a complaint, then we'll have to address and deal with that to try to set up a process to get into the unit to see what the violations are that the owner has put in to say that they were complaining on. If a tenant puts in a complaint, then we'll be reaching out to the tenant first, then notifying the owner, say, hey, we received a complaint. These are the issues. We'll give you maybe a day or two to try to get over there. Then we'll schedule a complaint inspection. So yes, you're right. There are two different ones. So then an initial is totally separate from an annual. So the annual inspection process is the newer letters that you're receiving now in regards to a time, and has the unit address. It actually has a tenant associated with it. Those are going to be the difference from initial versus an annual. And again, don't hesitate to call me. Don't hesitate to call me. Not today, but I'll be here at 8:15 tomorrow. Don't hesitate to give me a call if I can assist anyone that's on here. I promise you I'll do my best.
All right, so Ty, we have two more and then we're going to wrap up.
Okay.
These are the last two questions. I see several people, including Randy, who stated they have not received their letter. I do know that the agency has started to email the letters. So Ty, what should they do if they don't receive the email? Is there a place from the portal that they can go to see upcoming inspections?
That's a good question. I haven't looked at the portal the last couple of days. I wish I could answer that right at this moment. I can't 100% say yes, there is something on the portal. But if you have not received a letter, and am I saying it right? That the tenant received, somebody might have received one, but the owner did, or vice
The
versa.
owner has not, the owner has not received notification.
Okay. Again, that's going to be one of those communication things. If you're a tenant, you do reach out, your tenant lets you know that, hey, they did receive this. Again, ladies and gentlemen, we are, like you said, Carissa, we are sending them out by email. So your email address, again, like we know for an annual inspection, like every year, for telephone numbers change, emails change. So if we do have your accurate, updated information, then we do send that out with a manual letter as well. So if you haven't received something in the mail, then again, like I stated before, it's no excuse, but the DC mail or the mailer system is a little slow or backed up right now. I don't know the whole extent of it. But I do know it was on the news. So the letters are backed up. I was looking for a check to suffice for something myself. It normally comes on the 11th every month. I got it yesterday. And I'm not trying to size anybody up, but I got my check that I was waiting on that it's towards something personal for one of my businesses, but I didn't get the check till yesterday. I called the folks and I told them about it. They said, man, now we mailed your letter. And I was sitting there like, yeah, right. And lo and behold, I just think I threw it away not too long ago. The letter stated it was been mailed. It's been there. So please just take into consideration that there could be some mail and timing issues. We are handling case by case, ladies and gentlemen. Call me again, communication is going to be key with your clients. If your client received one, they're going to call you and say, hey, Mr. Johnson, I ain't getting no notice. Did you? And then Mr. Johnson will say, yeah, I got one. It's going to be up to that team to collaborate to try to see the best way to get it done. If not, then we're going to run back into the same issue of no communication, no talking. Go get it done. If you can get it done, I'll wait and see what my violations are. One of the whole big things I can promote to everybody is that we want to be proactive. We want to be proactive. You want to talk with your clients. You want to see how the best way you can get in there. Again, yes, don't be upset if you got your letter on a Friday. That doesn't mean we didn't mail it on time. But if you got it on Friday and your inspection's on Monday or Tuesday, once you get that inspection done, stay in communication. Take your pictures. Go past the unit. Take a look at it. And again, back to what I brought up earlier. If I know that I have safety and health issues in a unit, I wouldn't wait until housing authority tells me. You know what I mean? I wouldn't wait till the housing authority says, oh, you got violations. If you can get into your unit, like you stated earlier, go in there every 2 or 3 months. I mean, we've been promoting this on all the landlord meetings. Get in your unit. I know it's COVID. And again, that's kind of an excuse for everybody right now. If anybody wants to make an excuse about doing anything, ladies and gentlemen, let's be right. They're going to say COVID. And guess what happens? Carissa, you, me, all what we do. Okay. Nothing we can say. So it's one of those times, ladies and gentlemen, it's going to be tough. It's going to be up to us to all work together, but communication is going to be key, and you're going to have to finesse your folks. That doesn't mean pull their chains or nothing, but again, everybody, if you know from DC or any kind of word in an area, you got to finesse. You got to, if it doesn't work by being aggressive, then you got to turn it down the other way and be nice. You got to get into your units. Don't wait until your letter comes. And again, it shouldn't be now where everybody's upset that you're not getting a letter on time, that you haven't been in your unit in 2 years. If you feel me, it shouldn't be, I know what's going on in my unit, or I got to wait till housing tells me that I got violations. You're supposed to go check your units out. You're supposed to be able to know what's going on in your place. I mean, again, ladies and gentlemen, you are the landlord. That is your property. They are renting it. We are renting it. It's being rented, but you're the owner. That's your place. If you want to let it go for 2 or 3 months without knowing what's going on, then again, don't be mad when housing sends a letter out. And if you got it late, don't be mad because you don't know what's going on in your place. Be upset
All
that you
right.
didn't know. Be upset that you didn't know what was going on in your place before you went to the unit and got a notice from housing or DCRA send you with them fines. That's when folks get to jumping around and moving. Let's be proactive. If now that we on this meeting, Carissa, we want to promote to everybody. Go look at your unit Monday. Send your client a letter or something certified or something said, hey, I'll be there next week. If this week don't work, I'm gonna be there on the 14th. Get into your properties. Go look at your places. Housing Authority does not run. We are not the owners. We are just the rent providers. We are the providers. You guys are the owners. Get into your properties, ladies and gentlemen. Go see what's going on. Like Carissa stated, it's 48 hours. I think I might have known that, but I might have been talking too fast. It's 48 hours. Give them 48 hours. Go see your property. Now that we know that folks are listening on this call, and they're hearing other people's concerns about not gaining access, not getting a letter, guess what Ty Gary would do if I was on this meeting? And again, you don't have to, but guess what Ty Gary would be on this meeting if I wasn't talking? I'd have been writing this down and say, guess what? I'm going to send my people something next week. I need to go over there and see what's happening because at least I know an annual is probably going to come sooner or later. I will go take a look at my place. I mean, go start the communication now, especially if you have a tenant or a client that is difficult. Guess what? We all have that situation. A family member, a daughter might have a little more rapport with some folks. Because again, we all adults, we might not say everything the right way. That goes back to finesse. Find a way to get it done. And then you won't be upset. You won't be as angry. You won't be as disappointed once you get to your unit to say, I need more time to get this fixed. But again, let's keep in mind, some folks haven't been and looked at their places in a long time, and the stuff has been lingering on. So I hope I addressed that part.
That's true.
We
That's so
got
true.
one more question. You said I have no problem with that. But again, ladies and gentlemen,
We
Yeah.
have one more question, and Randy, and for those of you who don't know, this is not addressing the final question, but for those of you who don't know, you can go on the portal, go under the inspections tab. There's a section that says appointments. If it is scheduled and if it's on the portal, that's where you can find it at online. All right, so make sure you're checking that. So here's the last question for the evening. It goes back to Taishuan, who's asking, this is the person that have the squatter. They have a 4-unit building, Ty. There's a squatter in one. The squatter is causing an infestation. They want to know how can they pass the inspection for the other units. So just like Ty said, same thing I stated a little earlier, schedule an inspection, go in yourself. If you know that there's infestation, go ahead and get pest control out. Make sure you document any invoices, any paid invoices from the exterminator. Now, here's the thing with infestation. So infestation, according to HQS standards, infestation is 2 or more. So if you go into your tenant's property, there are 2 or more mice, there are 2 or more roaches, that's infestation. So when that inspection happens, if you treat the property and you leave the evidence there, so let's say you've exterminated the property, you've exterminated a house or the apartment, right? But when you look under the kitchen sink, there's a whole bunch of droppings. I know landlords don't like it when I say this, but go ahead, either have the tenant to clean it up, you clean it up, or you pay for somebody to clean it up.
Correct.
You want to remove the evidence that there was a problem, because they're going to cite you if the evidence is there. So remove all traces of the evidence. So I hope that helps.
Great point. Great point. Yes, and again, in regards to the squatters, let me also throw this out there, ladies and gentlemen. If you are present for your inspections, even according to HUD, if there's something in that common hallway or in that unit that can be cleaned up, like say for instance, trash or debris out in front of a place or in the hallway somewhere, if HQS states that if something that can be fixed or cleaned up in 2 hours, the inspector has the discretion of passing or failing that unit. So again, if you have a squatter unit, like Ms. Carissa stated, if you go to that unit and you try to clean up whatever you can, I mean, I don't know what you can do about a squatter, but as long as anything that can be cleaned up within 2 hours or removed, there's a potential we could pass it with comments that could pass your unit 203 as opposed to the unit 201 that has the squatter in it. So yes, those are key points, Carissa. Great points. Yeah, go to the place. And again, if you got a squatter, there's nothing DC Housing Authority can do about a squatter in the unit. I don't even know what the district can do about them right now because I don't want to get into that. That's not my cup of tea. But I also heard that's a tough situation to deal with as well. So
It
in
is.
regards to a squatter, I'm sure, like she said, you want to get some legal counseling, and you probably want to make sure that the police are aware of what's going on, so it'll be documented in case you need to pursue further action. At least it'll be documented that this is what's been going on. This is what's been tearing up my property. So again, for a vacant unit, we wouldn't be able to do anything for that.
Yeah, so in this case, the tenant moved out and probably let a relative, a best friend or somebody move in. But let me just also add that even if you call the police, which is good, you want to document it. But even if you call the police cannot make them leave. The police don't have any jurisdiction with landlord and tenant matters, right? So you can call the police, but the police can't put them out. So just be aware of that, but you can document that you contacted the police, they came out, they gave you a report number. You can use that information when you go to court. All right, so it's 7:37. Ty, thank you for your time. Thank you all for joining us today for our July DC Housing Providers Association meeting. This is what we do every third Wednesday of the month. We hope that this information has been helpful. Next month, please come back, please join us. We will have Mr. Billy Cannon, an attorney who will be coming back answering questions. There are changes that's taken place with the eviction moratorium. He will provide information on when you can start taking tenants to court. And I promise you, it will be a session that you want to join, because usually when you speak to an attorney, you have to pay consultant fees. But when you join us for our meetings and we bring attorneys on, you get to ask all of these questions. So he was with us last month. He will follow with us next month. So we hope that you can join us. You will get an email with a copy of the link here so that you can watch the replay. And again, we thank you so much for your time. Our time is up. We thank you for yours, and we hope that you'll stay connected and join us next month, on the third Wednesday of the month at 6 p.m. Thanks, Ty.
Well, thank you, Carissa. Thank everyone. I appreciate y'all having me. And again, I hope I was able to address at least some of the concerns. Everything won't be able to be done overnight, but ladies and gentlemen, the name and the number and the email is right there. And as you can still see, I'm still at my office.
Same here.
I'm still at the office. I'm definitely not going to answer not one of y'all calls or emails right now. I'm about to cut it off. But again, just feel free, ladies and gentlemen, to give me a call, reach out to me. And again, thank you, Carissa and team. It's been a pleasure to see you guys, and hopefully I can help in the future.